Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we finally have the 2.5 patch note and the update coming about an hour from when this video drops. So please, if you're listening to this right as it drops, get all your stuff done before the reset, in case, or before the servers go down for maintenance, in case you can't play after the servers come up, or in case your day resets during the server maintenance. Because it's going to be down for about, I believe, 8 hours. So please keep that in consideration so you don't lose out on your runs or other stuff like that, because that would suck. So let's get into it, guys. I've held back from commenting on the small teasers we've gotten about Shadowlands and new Daredevil and stuff like that, because I wanted to take this all in one go, one shot. So let's check it out. We got two new characters. We got the Kung Fu Shang-chi. Alright, he's got a pretty good leadership, all attack. His original passive has a 30% chance to apply a 2-guard hit for 2 seconds, with a 30% chance when he's hit. That's really not going to be much of an issue, or that's not going to really put a lot of value on the character when it comes to big hitting bosses like Thanos and stuff like that. That passive is better for stuff like multi-hit attacks, so like Proxima's 6-star that one-shots you. It'll probably be a little bit harder to one-shot this guy, because this will trigger and he will take a couple of hits off and save that damage in between, but it doesn't seem too impressive to me. Tier 2 passive, it looks like it reads very similarly to the one that I think Spider-Gwen has, so that's pretty cool. He gets a damage increase, and it increases the effect of the Chi Reflect skill. I don't know what that means. Maybe it blocks more attacks, maybe it brings out like more clones, I don't know, but it's an interesting combination, and hopefully it'll do something cool to make the character worth tier 2ing. And I like the flavor of the character text so far. He kind of seems like the non-whitewashed version of Iron Fist, if you know what I'm saying. Then we got some attacks. His 5-star attack, not his 5-star attack, his 3-star attack is a buff, which applies an all-attack bonus. I'm not sure if that will be transferable, but even if it's not, that's pretty interesting. He might become kind of a powerhouse. You know, if you use Werewolf's buff and then Daisy's buff, and then he does his self buff, he could be doing monster damage. We still have to see how the skills play out, but it's an interesting thing to see. We haven't seen Netmarble give a lot of characters self buffs recently, unless it's like an all-speed buff or some shit like that. So, I'm curious to see if that will be something that makes the character a huge DPS tank. Or a huge DPS machine. Tank and DPS are different. Anyways, Misty Knight, our second character. Lady Chocolate Thunder. I don't know. Anyways, leadership increases cold damage by 10% per level. I assume it's the same as Lincoln, so at max mastery, it will give a 60% increase to cold damage. That seems hype until you realize that Loki is the only character that can take advantage of that. It's the only character in the game right now that has cold as a damage type for his skill, for any of his skills. He does it on 2 skills. And also you need to note that elemental damage caps at 75%. So if you have a cold damage obelisk already on your Loki, this leadership is fucking useless. But it is pretty easy with this leadership to cap out elemental damage without having an elementally dedicated obelisk. So that's pretty cool. And as we know, Loki is pretty fucking OP. So any character that can buff his damage as a leadership potentially is interesting. But I still think that a leadership like Thanos or Ronan with the 36% all attack is better in the long run, since Loki's other skills are not cold damage. The passive that she has increases her speed, which is terrible. Her tier 2 passive increases her cold damage, and it gives her guaranteed dodge. So I guess a lot of her attacks, her attacks like Frostwave, Freeze Strike, Cold Shoulder will all be cold damage. It says at the bottom that it adds cold damage, so then that means that she will be the only other character, maybe not Frostwave, she'll be the only other character other than Loki, so maybe she'll benefit from her own leadership. Hopefully she'll be better than Lincoln, because he's way too squishy to be a useful character, although I do really like Loki. I do really like Lincoln and the way they designed him. Anyways, she has a lot of interesting skills. She has a lot of dot damage, which unfortunately sucks because it's not applicable to world bosses, but her free strike adds chill damage with a stun, the spark burst adds shock damage, and then the cold shoulder has a movement speed debuff. So she's full of debuffs. Holy shit, guys, I'm full of crap. She's full of I can't fucking speak today. She's full of debuffs and lightning and shock and cold dot damage, so that should be interesting to see how they play. They're available through hero chests, so you can get them from the daily stuff. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get them from bio selectors and stuff like that. You just won't be able to farm for them from missions and specials and stuff like that, but they won't be that rare. Then we got 4 new uniforms, which is really, really cool. Black Cat gets what I assume will be an even sexier uniform if you're into that kind of stuff. Increases chain hit damage, which is pretty fucking useless. And it increases the effect of her misfortune skill, which I think applies a bleed effect, or I think it applies an effect where the character deals a damage percent of the enemy's health. I'm not 100% sure. I honestly don't play Black Cat at all. Check it out, guys. It might be good, but Black Cat still sucks balls, so that's mostly what's going to make that uniform useless. Ghost Rider is finally getting a cool-looking uniform because his 70s one is kind of lame-looking. It seems like it has the exact same effects as his other uniform, so that keeps in line with Netmarble not releasing new uniforms with new skills to make people choose between uniforms, which I think is the right way to go. Although it limits creativity, I do agree with it right now in the current iteration of the game and for the current cost of uniforms. My man Moon Knight is getting his uniform. Too bad it's not the Mr. Moon Knight, as you guys have told me in the comments is really cool, and I checked that comic out a little bit. It's pretty awesome with all the monologues and stuff. Not really monologues, but you know what I mean. Anyways, increased number of projectiles on Crescent Dart skill. That fucking sucks. That skill blows. That's his 2-star skill or his 1-star skill. It's just terrible. Yeah, I'm not... That uniform is basically just for the 10% stat line. Daredevil's getting another uniform, which looks pretty badass, and I believe this is a different buff, which is interesting. I think his other buff is like crit damage or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but all speed is kind of shitty, and Daredevil's already really, really fast, so I'm not sure how useful this one will be. I'm pretty sure his Netflix uniform looks way better than this one anyways, so a little bit disappointed in this one, but it matches up with the Shadowland stuff that they're going to release, so it kind of makes sense. Here we go, guys. The new game mode. I am super fucking hyped for this one. Sorry if I'm blaring through your speakers, but I cannot help myself. Shadowland. So we're finally getting a 5th game mode in the arena button. It's called Shadowland, and the 2 types of stages that we're going to get in Shadowland are as follows. You're going to have a fixed stage where you don't have a choice and you have to just enter it as it is. And then you have a selectable stage where you have multiple choices, and they might have different rewards, and you have to select one, and they might vary in difficulty, or they might vary in like the special quirk that they have. You know, maybe like, for example, Red Hulks might have like additional fire geysers or something like that. Wasps, maybe like there's additional bugs that come out. I don't fucking know. Maybe in Black Widows she like tries to have sex with you. That would be great. I would like that. Thank you very much. But anyways, it's really, really interesting. I like that there's variation already built into this. I like there's different bosses, it looks like, from all the screenshots we're getting. And new content. Always, I'm fucking down for that shit. I'm hungry like a motherfucker. Alright, I want my cake, so to speak. You can pick 3 characters to enter the fight, kind of like World Boss, and characters who have already been used to clear a stage cannot join again until after the reset. So it might be that you have a certain number of tries per day or per reset. It's interesting, there's a little part on the left here under the bosses that they blacked out, so maybe that's the number of tries or the timer on it, and maybe they're still wondering, or they're still deciding what kind of timer, if it will be daily or weekly or whatever, and how many entries you will get. Because as you guys can see, one of the best rewards there, or I would argue the best reward, for at least for this Spider-Man Relay Mode one, is Antimatter and Nord Stones, and that's 20 fucking Diversity Stones, bros. That's a lot of fucking gay love. All right, so I'm totally down for that. From the screenshot here, a lot of my peeps in the alliances have been kind of in my alliance. I only have one alliance. They've been kind of skeptical about both the authenticity and the, you know, what this means for the game, if this is actually an accurate screenshot, because as you guys can see, we have Proxima, Corvus, and Black Dwarf, and Black Dwarf is doing triple-digit damage to, it looks like Ant-Man and Hawkeye stuck in one corner. That's not a lot of damage, guys. They look like they have about 500,000 HP, which is not a lot. It's about like way less than the world bosses have. I believe they have like 1.7 million HP. So this is like less than a third of their HP, but that damage number is like fucking disgustingly low. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, if this is just like a test build, if they're gonna like change the numbers around so that it accurately reflects damage that we're used to, but the health is higher because of it. I don't know. But if this is the case, this is going to be a fucking snooze fest doing like 100 to fucking like 500 damage on your hits. That would fucking suck. Like Ant-Man's going to do fucking double digits, all right? He's going to have a fucking hillbilly's IQ in terms of his damage. Then we got the new 6-star skills. Holy fucking Toledo. We finally getting 6-star skills for these fucking bereft, you know, closet dumpster characters that have been left to rot for like a year now. But I'm super hyped for them. Giant Man, he's getting the giant jackhammer. So ladies, get your, I don't know, get your legs ready. I don't know. Giant jackhammer just sounds really sexual. It applies a stun, which is useless in World Boss. Then it gives him an immunity to all damage for 3 seconds, which is awesome. But keep in mind, it has a 14-second native cooldown, so you can get it down to about 7 or 8 seconds. So you cannot abuse this 6-star skill too much unless you use the team up. Winky, winky. And then there's physical damage. So the giant jackhammer sounds really cool. I can't wait to see the artwork and the design of the actual skill, because Giant Man and Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket, when they came into the game, their skills looked so cool with the shrinking and the growing and the girth and the size and all that good stuff. Then we got Yellow Jacket. He applies a paralyze. Again, does not work on world bosses, so fucking mostly useless, actually. And then there's an energy attack, whatever. We can't really read too much into that. It's also a 14-second cooldown, which is quite long, but you can get that down to like 7 or 8 seconds. I imagine that the laser burst will just be like a more intense version of his 5-star skill, but I could be wrong. But now that I think about it, guys, the stun and the paralyze might be a little bit more meaningful. If we take a look more closely at this picture here, we can see that both Ant-Man and Hawkeye are being debuffed by, I think it's Black Dwarf's slowing effect that he has when he hits with certain skills or all skills. I'm not 100% sure. So it might be that these bosses, like, they have really high defenses, but they can be affected by like status effects, burns, dot damage, stuns, freezes, fears, binds, and dispels and stuff like that. That would be a really interesting thing to do to the game, and it would make disused characters like Red Hulk, like Ghost Rider, like Black Cat, like all those characters, it would make them potentially a lot more effective than, you know, Thanos and other OP characters right now in this game mode. So I would actually really love that if they basically released a game mode where Shirag and all the OP characters fucking blew chunks because they just do regular energy or physical damage, and then all these like neglected reject characters who do like status effects and stuff like that suddenly become really, really important to clearing properly. Then we have Black Cat's 6-star skill. It's just physical attack with physical damage and physical damage. So physical, 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 physical. 12-second cooldown, Cat Lash, very exciting stuff. Hopefully it has iframes, otherwise this character is remaining in the dumpster tier. And I don't have anything else to say about her 6-star skill because there's nothing else to fucking read into it from the text, which kind of sucks. Then we have the new tier 2 skills. We've already talked about Shang-chi and Misty Knights. Let's talk about Giant Man. So there's an increased effect of the increased skill, which increases his damage for a set amount of time. So it's good that he gets that bonus like multiplied or increased. And then you also have a decrease to physical and energy damage received and an increase in his skill damage. So this is kind of like a pseudo Shirag or a Shirag light kind of tier 2. Interesting for Giant Man, and hopefully it will make him relevant again in the meta, which is really great because he's a cool character. Yellow Jackets, he gives a critical rate damage buff, and critical damage and critical rate buff, which are like great in tandem, of course, and guaranteed dodge, and it increases the skill effect or the effect of the bounce back skill. That's his passive, I believe. Bounce back skill? I believe that's his passive where he goes under 30% health. and then he shrinks down and he gets like an increased damage buff. So it would be really interesting, I thought of when I first read this, having like a long, like a 4 or 5 second invincibility obelisk on Yellow Jacket, and just trying to stay in that 30% HP mode and using his iframes and being really tactical and just trying to pull off like monster DPS because of that. It kind of reminds me of the Red Skull tier 2 passive, which fucking blows ass, but this one is much better because it doesn't have like a cooldown, or it doesn't have like a one-time use only, because it applies to the bounce back skill, which Yellow Jacket already has built into his character. So I think that's what they should have done with Red Hulk, not Red Skull, with Red Hulk. But hopefully I didn't say Red Skull, and hopefully Yellow Jacket will be cool with his tier 2, because that character has been neglected for a long time. Then we have Black Cat's tier 2. When she's attacking, she reduces all of the buffs that the enemy has. She reduces like the duration. She reduces the effect, which is really interesting if it works on world bosses, and it will be pretty cool for stuff like timeline and competitive modes like tournaments, where maybe Black Cat can counter certain characters that buff themselves up, like Supergiant and others. I don't know how useful it will be, but it's a thought. It's something in the pipeline. And then she gets an increase in skill damage, bonus damage, and guaranteed dodge. And those things last for 10 seconds, and this has a 20-second cooldown. So the more I think about it, the more I think this fucking sucks. But we'll wait and see, because I have been wrong before. These are just my initial thoughts. Then Daredevil gets an increase to his damage, both skill and bonus, and he gets guaranteed dodge 30%. 30% is quite noticeable. I would imagine Daredevil would be around the tier of like Spider-Man tier 2, or maybe just a little bit less than Spider-Man tier 2. The reason why I say a little bit less is because Spider-Man has 2 iframes with his CW, his Civil War uniform. He has the iframe on the web skill, and he has the iframe on the 5-star or on the 2-star swinging skill. I don't know. 2 of his fucking skills have iframes, all right? And Daredevil has none unless he gets them with the new black uniform. So the lack of iframes, but the slightly increased dodge and damage buffs put him probably on par with Spider-Man, which means he's world boss viable, but not so easy for the average player. Then we're getting a new lock system, which is just a really great quality of life thing. If any of you drooling retards have sold something before, like an obelisk or a card or something like that, without realizing it, and you fucking raged afterwards because you're an idiot, now you can lock them, and you won't do that, hopefully. This is probably one of my favorite features coming up. This is the auto upgrade on comic cards. I don't know why this wasn't implemented before when they did the last patch on comic cards. They tried to make it a little bit easier for us with the auto pick, but this is basically what they should have done in the beginning. I love the way that this is laid out, and I love how much time this is going to save me and how many clicks this is going to save my fat sausage-like fingers. So I'm super hyped about that. I really, really like it. And the quick upgrade, just be careful, guys. You don't have cards in there that are like uniques or like chest-only cards, because the game won't differentiate between them unless you lock them, I hope. And then they can get absorbed into upgrades, and you'll fucking cry, baby rage, all that kappa good stuff. A couple of the details. We have the additional stats line for the details page of every hero. We have like all of the buffs that they're getting from gear, all of the buffs they're getting from ISO sets, all of the buffs they're getting from your cards. And so it seems like it breaks things down to 2 decimal places, which is actually a lot of information that they're going to be giving us that they used to hide or just not provide. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm excited to see what like all the mathematicians and you know, fucking Dumbledores of Marvel Future Fight can concoct for us, because you guys know I can't make too much sense of this bullshit, but I'll do my best. But I'm sure smarter minds out there will find a very useful way of putting these stats to good use for the community, and then I'll try to relay that as best as I can to you guys. Then we have Alliance Tournament changes. I'm kind of pissed about the Alliance Tournament right now because it didn't register my latest cheer for Secret Avengers, so I just lost like 300,000 gold, whatever. But now you can see replays of, you know, Ascension getting fucking ass fucked by other alliances and those kinds of things. So you can see whether the attack failed, whether it was victorious. It gives us a little bit more information. It makes it a little bit more inclusive and interactive for us nobodies who are just on the sidelines behind the chain link fence watching and hoping to be like Mike one day. But they took away the cheering buff, which is kind of fucking pointless because that was the whole like interaction that we had, so to speak. but now the rewards you get will change based on the number of people cheering for a specific alliance. So basically what that means is if you're smart, you'll vote for Secret Avengers and you'll get an even bigger reward than before. And if you're an idiot, you'll vote for another alliance and you'll hold your breath and you'll wait with bated breath until your alliance loses, and then you won't get any rewards. So fucking cool update there. I don't really like these ones, but I don't really care because I still think alliance tournaments are like huge beta, if not like alpha mode, in terms of how they're applying it to the community. I don't mean in terms of like the mechanics and stuff because I haven't played in it, so I don't know that end of things, but I've heard that it's kind of strange as well, so we're not going to get into that too much. But one more thing I want to share with you guys here, and this one requires your microscopes and your monocles, so whip that shit out if you haven't already. When we scroll down here, we have to see one that's quite important. Where is it? Number 13, recommended hero list in Villain Siege has been updated to include new characters. So that means if you're an asshole like me and you haven't unlocked Hulkling yet, because fuck that character, you better bet your ass that you need to go and unlock him. You need him at least 1 star so that if he pops up on the list of recommended heroes, you can still get the bonus roll and the bonus item from clearing that Villain Siege level on that day. So definitely go ahead and unlock, you know, Songbird, Hulkling, White Tiger, Gwenpool, I guess, from the Shifter Bios, Squirrel Girl, and Wiccan if you haven't already, and just prepare for that because it is coming up soon. So guys, that's the patch update that's coming very, very soon. Like I said, an hour from when this video drops, and those are my thoughts on the patch. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which characters you are hyped for, both new and upgraded. Of course, I love Ant-Man, or not Ant-Man, Giant Man and Yellow Jacket, but I'm also pretty hyped for Misty Knight with the bionic arm or whatever. I'm not sure about her past or her backstory, but I'm super hyped. And of course, I'm really fucking excited for Shadowland. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel about this. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.